So, 2010. Good year for you?
It was a great year.
Great year. How about comics, though? Because I really had some wonderful things I loved about the comic book industry.
Yeah, so did I. What did you enjoy in particular?
There was a lot. Hellboy came back and did a lot of stuff this year. Mignola got back into writing it, which was fantastic. Any Hellboy book, I love it. This one was actually really good.
I'm really happy with the direction Batman's been last year.
Yeah, Batman's been great.
I can't say, I mean, at the very least, you know, you can complain about the storyline all you want, but you have to read it. You don't want to read it. Someone's
got to show Captain America where to go.
I think some people might argue it's the reverse, but in any case, you do want to read this series because what's going on is so interesting.
Oh, Batman and Robin's been interesting. It's all been great. It's been a lot of wonderful things.
There have also been a lot of good animated films this year. A lot.
There's been, there has been a lot.
We've reviewed quite a few of them. Some good, some not so good. Both of us could say our favorite of the entire year was the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, which we decided to review right here. Symbol for communism, the hammer
Barack
symbol.
Obama.
It's the hammer. So, we do comic books. We did comic books. And now we're gonna do a cartoon.
Justice League, Crisis on Two Earths?
Yes.
This is from an old standard storyline that started a long time ago in DC. But the idea is that there's a bad Superman and a good Lex Luthor, right? And the idea was that Lex Luthor would come to our dimension where there was a good Superman, and he would come and implore them to come help them defeat this evil Justice League. They mix this really well with that old idea, but they kind of mix it with this other storyline they had done, which they called Justice Lords, which they did in the old JLA cartoon, where they weren't necessarily just mirrored bad versions, as they had just made different choices. And I thought that was really nice. In this cartoon, they didn't just make it that simple, like, well, he likes up, I like down. They switched it up. They made it a little more interesting, right? It became moral, it became about decisions. And it was really well done. What they did with Owlman,
Yeah, Ultraman, Owlman, Johnny Quick, Power Ring, and Superwoman instead of Wonder Woman. I just gotta say, in this storyline, this is the first time we ever see other evil versions. This is the first time, I think, as far as I know.
Never to this effect.
No.
Never where you got this in-depth and like cool stuff.
The art was very good. I thought the story was more not for children.
I don't know, James Woods pontificating on the uselessness of reality and existence. That was pretty child-friendly.
So you liked it?
I guess it was.
Jolie, did you love it?
I don't know. I have all kinds of notes here that end and I loved it. Yeah, the animation was fantastic.
What did you like about it?
One, the animation. Two, well, I read JLA Earth 2 a little bit before this, but I kept coming up with like comparisons and thinking about that book, and I couldn't help but think that they were a lot alike to me, so that sort of bothered me in a way. And
wait,
I am so interested to hear what you have to say, Jolie.
Poutine. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that.
This is Frank, everybody, and the famous Poutine.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
God, is that?
No. I kind of wish that Frank Whiteley did the animation though. It looked a lot like the Wonder Woman cartoon that came out previous to this.
Yes.
I kind of lost interest after all the fight scenes started happening in the story, and I thought the love story
That's
with Martian Manhunter. But I love unicorns and romance, and the Martian Manhunter side love story, I didn't really like that.
That wasn't the best part of it.
No, it was not.
I think the idea, I think the concept of this is so good that like Dwayne McDuffie is not the best writer, and he's done some episodes of the show, and he's very poorly adapted other stories where he did for The Man Who Has Everything, and he to be honest, I think he messed it up. In this, it's not as good as the Earth 2 graphic novel.
No, it's not. The graphic novel was amazing.
Yeah,
it was
graphic
really,
novel.
That's not what this movie is, though.
Well,
but they used
similar,
almost everything. I mean, Luthor comes from Earth 3.
I mean, you're talking about this story is like 40 years old, 50 years old.
There's different versions of it.
50-year-old story.
But I think this is good. It is really good. It's not as good as the graphic novel, but I gotta say, I like the fact that they brought in evil versions of Black Lightning, evil versions of Halo.
Yeah, and again, for someone like me who's not really well versed in the whole DC universe, for me now I want to read Black Lightning. Now I want to know who Star Sapphire is, and who is Halo, and who is this crime syndicate, and like why are there so many Earths?
Excellent. Batman knows the only way to travel to the other Earth is for somebody to vibrate very quickly. The only person that can do that is
the Flash.
The Flash offers to, but the Batman says, Flash, you're not fast enough. Johnny Quick, the evil Flash, runs up and goes, I can do it. He goes, okay, you go do it. So Johnny Quick does it and saves the day, but at the end, he goes back to normal speed, and then he's become an old man. He falls over, and he looks at Batman, and he goes, you knew that this was gonna happen, didn't you? And Batman goes, and he goes, good one. And he falls over and dies. It is, I mean, Batman sacrifices this guy. He psychs him out to save the universe. It's amazing. That's all I wanted to say. Back to the
So you were interrupting him to let us know that Batman's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, perfect.
Like we didn't already know that. Yeah. Okay, we're going to break. We're not going to eat any more poutine until you guys come back from the commercial break. Right after this.
Listo65 also gave us a second question. I'm going to read it right now really quick, okay? By the way, if anyone else wants to send us questions, we welcome them. You can either write to us on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on TV, you can just email us at mail@comicbooksyndicate.com. Ask us anything.
That's right.
Okay.
Any question, not math related.
Okay. If you could have Marvel or DC each switch one comic book character permanently, which ones would you have them switch? George.
I'll take Marvel into DC.
Sure.
Okay. I think coming from the Avengers versus Justice League, when Batman fights Punisher for that one panel, always intrigued me. I always thought Punisher would make a great addition to, because DC, they tried with Lobo to get that kind of gritty character, that Wolverine, that tough guy, that even Ben Grimm from the early days kind of thing. They never really quite got it. Batman has always been sort of the Dark Knight, right? But he won't kill, he won't do this, he won't do that. And it's not because I want the extreme violence. I just like the idea that Punisher has always been so unforgiving, unwavering. There is no redeeming yourself in his eyes. And I really think that DC could use something like that, or at least that parallel to deal with in a serious sense. Like, they've tried a couple things here and there with that type of idea, but usually they're joking around with it. Because it always comes to in DC with the gods, right?
There is a weird thing in DC that it's almost a little bit more mystical or magical.
Yeah, everything almost has a Disney glow about it at the end of the day, right? Everybody kind of makes it out, even though there might be some extreme violence or something really disturbing happen. At the end of it, everybody's pretty okay, and Aquaman gets to swim home, and his little treasure chest, and a little castle. And
this is true. That's an interesting perspective. Interesting. You know, what's funny is I was, before we started rolling, I was thinking about what guy I could move from DC to Marvel, and then one of our crew members pointed out it doesn't have to be a guy, which just proves that in 2011 we're still subconsciously sexist. So, knowing that, I would like to move Wonder Woman to Marvel, and the reason I give is because DC has been getting it wrong for 40 years. With a few minor hiccups. I mean, there's been some good writers, Greg Rucka, Gail Simone, decent writing. But good writers doing a decent job, not good writers doing a good job. So since the best the DC has done recently is to redesign her costume to make her look like a brand new character in 1992, then I would say that moving over to Marvel and maybe having like Mark Miller or Ed Brubaker take a shot at her with like a Steve McNiven type artist, drop the last 20 years of post-crisis junk that I think has wrecked the character. That's what I think. I don't know. Swap, Punisher, Wonder Woman.
I like it.
Looking forward to 2011. It's going to be a humongous year for movies. Thor, Green Lantern. Yep. On top of that, there's no time for us to discuss all the comic books that are coming out. But,
no.
But one thing that I would like to say I really wish happens, which I know is not happening, is I wish DC and Marvel would stop doing these mega events that cross over into every one of their comics. And they just announced that Marvel just announced, oh, you know what, guys? Last year, I know you had event fatigue, so we tried to lay off. This year,
3 weeks off.
Yeah, you guys are ready for another one. So apparently, there's not one, but 5 humongous events coming
in 1 year.
Like, I don't know how. Like, again, like, and I don't like to, I don't like to sound like a grumpy old man, but I always go back to, when I was a kid, I read the first 90 issues of G.I. Joe, and there was no event. There was no subtitle with a part 1 of 10. There was no crossovers. There was just every month I went to the store and I picked up the new issue of G.I. Joe, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And it got me every time because it was always a surprise, and it always made me want to come back the next month. And I didn't need any incentive of a preview, of an event, of a renumbering, of a...
It's just life, man. It's not a bunch of huge moments. It's the everyday stuff. Oh, plus I have a hardcover of Atlantis Attacks coming out. They do. They put it all together in one hardcover.
Come on, are you serious?
Of Atlantis Attacks, the hit of the 90s. Remember when Atlantis attacked?
That will be the highlight of 2011. Before we go, how about this, George? Let's join our super friends in Toronto and see what they had to say about comic books. So you have done some work on Wonder Woman. I'm a fan of Wonder Woman. When you draw the character, I mean, did you see Darwin Cook's version of Wonder Woman in New Frontier? How he kind of drew her taller than Superman and almost like Amazonian physique. Did you see that?
Well, she is like 6'1", so.
Okay. So do you have, when you draw her in your head, do you see her more like Linda Carter or more like Amazonian, I guess?
I have a distinct look. The issues of Wonder Woman that I did draw, they follow Terry Dodson and also Aaron Lopresti. So some of the styling, I try to stay within that kind of the style that they've drawn, because I don't want to go too far in one direction, because the regular readers want to have a consistent look on the book. But I do tend to fall more towards the Amazon feel of the character.
My hair okay, huh?
No.
No, good.
Perfect.